Jacobs is absent today. We next have invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Father, I thank you as we gather here for this meeting. Thank you for keeping the utility safe and operational. Father, please allow all exchanges today to be nice. No hatred, no lies, nothing crazy. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. This includes consent and regular agenda items.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda, which includes any items that are on the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Public comment on adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, Jim Cornish. When I look at 1645, sir, that you swore to uphold, Mr. Bolarski swore to uphold before he segued from the authority to CEO GM. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to manage, operate, and control the utilities, and to do all things necessary to effectuate an orderly transition of the management, operations, and control of the utilities from the City Commission to GRU. It's your responsibility to do that, sir. Mr. Bolarski is simply supposed to direct and administer all functions subject to your rules and regulations, rules and resolutions, sir, and you have none because you haven't showed up. So instead of an authority, you're just a rubber stamp for Mr. Bolarski, which is dangerous for you personally, for GRU as a business enterprise, and for the ratepayers and employees. To have no action items month after month means you're not doing your job. And some of you shouldn't even be sitting there because your term has expired. And that jeopardizes the validity of anything that is done, as your attorney would tell you if you asked her.
Thank you, Mr. Cornish.
Good evening, Chuck Ross. On the consent agenda, you have the state of the utility under consent again, which you've been doing on a regular basis. I saw that some of the emissions data seem to be up. I think, as Mr. Bolarski calls it, the NOx and the SOx, the sulfur dioxide and nitrous dioxide. And I was wondering if that could be pulled so that we can have some comments about why there's been some, looks like increases there, those emissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further public comment, back to the board for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted.
We have approval of the minutes. This is approval of minutes from the GRUA meeting held on November 12th, 2025.
Chip, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just taking a note. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written from our meeting on November 12th, 2025.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Public comment on approval of the minutes. Seeing as no public comment, back to the board for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is chair comments.
As we end the year, I would like to take just a moment to thank all the colleagues of the Gainesville Regional Utilities for their expectation and execution of excellence this year. It's been a phenomenal year and many improvements in the utility. I also want to take a moment to thank GRU's leadership and the growth and improvement that they have made as well. And so that concludes my comments. Thank you.
We next have general public comment. This is for items not on the agenda. May I remind the public to keep their comments respectful and to refrain from making any disparaging comments about the board members and any GRU staff. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Jim Cornish. The first sentence of the Perry Bill and HB 1645 reads as follows. Section 3.06 of Article 3 of Section 1 of Chapter 90.394 Laws of Florida is repealed. The first thing it did, it eliminated GRU, GM, CEO from any charter office and eliminated all the powers under that position. The powers were wiped away. There were 27 ordinances based on these powers. Those were wiped away. And the reason this body is called an authority is, on paper at least, you have usurped the former powers held by the city commission. And you have also usurped the former powers Mr. Bilarski enjoyed when he was a charter officer of the city. And he becomes, on paper, sir, like kind of a gopher, kind of more like a clerk, where you are governing the utility and you are providing direction to him on items like disconnections, IRP, $120 million settlements, and not just sit here and rubber stamp 2 or 3 items a month and say, well, we're governing the utility. It's a farce. Mr. Bilarski shows a video of George Swinford getting a free AC. That's prohibited under 7.12. Some of these social ideological gimmicks to make it our problem that the bills are through the roof, not your problem. George Swinford owned Lillian's Bar and Music Store and the building, and he was bragging about a free AC. That's offensive when you're disconnecting 3,500 meters a month. That's immoral. That is not contemplated, sir. And 709, you're paying all this money to the city, and the workers are not working under Bilarski. They're working under city charter officers. That's a fundamental violation of your oath, not mine, your oath, and Bilarski's oath. So this dysfunction means that the financial hole that we've been put in is not being adequately addressed. Going from 1.8 billion in debt to 1.7 billion in debt is 2 years. Isn't going to get it done when you need major capital improvements on over half of your generating capacity. We're on Gilligan's Island. We're on Bilarski's Island, and we have to look at alternatives to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's David Hastings. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you this evening. I'm a GRU customer, and I also study the history, the past history of climate change by looking at records embedded in ocean sediments. I look at these tiny, tiny microfossils that record the climate over thousands and millions of years. So I know a lot about climate, and because of that, I care a lot about energy. How we make it, how we use it, how much it costs, those sort of things. So shortly after I moved here, staff at GRU asked me and several other community members to be part of a process to plan for the next 20 years of energy production. So we spent over a year integrating a pretty sophisticated integrated resource plan, which you all know is the IRP, which is a plan for future energy. Turns out it's a really good thing to plan ahead. And for a utility, it's an absolutely essential thing to plan ahead. As we were putting the finishing touches on this IRP, the GRU authority was installed, and the entire planning process was abandoned. Currently, there is no long-term plan for generating energy in Gainesville and at GRU. Then, GRU left the Energy Authority, which is a vital source for central energy information about energy, especially designed for public power utilities like GRU. There is still no plan for energy generation and no way of getting reliable information about how to respond to changing energy markets, which is, of course, essential. Our utility is not being run competently. All the evidence is that the GRU authority is incompetent. You're not doing a good job of running this utility. As the authority, you've neglected your duty to provide any meaningful oversight of our utility. Ratepayers like myself are not being represented by this authority in any way. And so the context, of course, is that there have been 3 elections in the past, one last year and one in November, where ratepayers and citizens of Gainesville have overwhelmingly asked and demanded that the city take back control of GRU. You need to drop your lawsuits against the city. That's costing over $700,000 over the past 2 years. And you need to resign from your positions immediately. Yeah, so thanks very much. Appreciate your time and your attention.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chuck Ross. Here's a few points why I think the board should withdraw the lawsuits and resign. At the last meeting, the financial results were presented by the GM, Bolarski, and it showed a profit of $49 million. When I looked at the backup online, the unaudited financial statement, it showed a profit of $10 million. So after the meeting, I asked, or actually at the meeting, I asked it, and I've asked this before, because at each quarter we've had similar issues, where there's a difference between what's shown as a financial presentation by the manager and what is on the unaudited financial statements, that it be reconciled. So I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm saying that we need to understand what the difference is for $39 million between the 49 and the 10. The IRP was halted in October of '24. And even though it seems like the GM has attempted to explain how and why he's going to extend the life of certain generators that are set to retire in the near future, that ultimately by 2031 to 2036, depending on which number he has picked, we're going to be at half the power capacity that we are today. So back in when he first presented his plan of optionality, you asked for a cost-benefit analysis. Well, he's never provided that, so I'd like to see that. And the last thing is on the transmission line issues. At the last meeting, I understood Mr. Bolarski to say that there are no transmission lines being built. However, I have a contract here that's he signed in February with Duke to service a dual circuit transmission line. And I have a request for information here for people to build the dual transmission line. So maybe I misunderstood him, but these transmission lines, along with the existing transmission line, may have enough power to service the entire facility for all I know. We don't know. I've asked these questions. What's it going to cost? How much power capacity is it going to produce? And I hold the board responsible because he's going to do what he wants unless you guys hold his feet to the fire, which I've also said in the past. And for all those reasons and other things that I'm going to run out of time in 20 seconds to say, I think you guys should respect the will of the people, withdraw the lawsuits, which, as the prior speaker said, will cost probably over $750 million, and maybe more because I don't think the city's received all the bills yet, and resign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Roberta Gastoner. I'm a 30-year county GRU customer, and you might notice several more of us here tonight with the green stickers on. As a county customer, I worked on all 3 referenda campaigns against the state takeover of GRU. As a county customer, I regularly attended UAB and City of Gainesville meetings to voice my concerns about GRU, and I was always met with respect and courtesy. And now as a county customer, I am asking you to stop pretending that your legitimacy comes from county customers who were prevented by the state from voting and probably would not have voted for you anyway. And by the way, this is the same state that is unable to fulfill the legal requirements of board member number and qualifications. Also, please stop claiming that your legitimacy comes from the law itself. which has twice declared now that the city voters have the right to amend their charter and to remove the authority. Please stop wasting our money on unwarranted lawsuits and respect the will of the voter and the legal system and resign now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Barron. I've been a GRU customer both as a county resident and a city resident since 1999. I've been actively engaged in GRU issues, starting with the coal plant debate in 2005, governance issues since 2013, and all three recent referendums. I'm currently a county customer of GRU, but regardless of whether I lived in the city or county, I've always been welcome to contribute to policy and governance issues regarding GRU, and my ideas, questions, and concerns have been considered or addressed by city officials and UAB board members up until when you, the authority, were forced on us. Now my voice is shut out in silence. Now none of us, city or county residents or the elected officials who bear the fiduciary responsibility to our city as a whole, has agency or representation of our choosing. Our power of self-determination has been stripped from us and handed to the state, to you, an unqualified board with no oversight, no accountability or transparency, a board that has abdicated fiduciary responsibility, fails to meet requirements of HB 1645, and seems to mainly act as a rubber stamp for Mr. Velarski. As a county ratepayer, I want my voice in local governments and my utility back. I support the will of city voters who own GRU, who have spoken loud and clear in 3 elections now, and ask you to also respect their right to change the city charter as affirmed by Judge Wright, who ruled that they can alter the city charter and we in the county are not disenfranchised. I am not the only county GRU customer who feels this way. Here's a letter signed in less than a week by county residents who also want you to drop all current and future lawsuits, return GRU to rightful owners, and resign, so our municipal utility will once again be governed locally with a governance structure and board city voters choose that reflects our community priorities, and where we county customers once again can be able to add our input and see our priorities reflected in these decisions. We respect home rule and ask you to do the same. Drop your lawsuits against the city and resign. And is the clerk, is this where I turn into the clerk? For the record, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dottie Fagus, resident of the city of Gainesville. You all, the authority board, cut funding to the city in the name of cutting waste and paying down debt. Dozens of city staff were laid off and positions were cut to the tune of 125 staff. And in the meantime, the authority hired Mr. Velarski with a salary of $332,000 and soon raised it to $342,000, the highest salary of any city, county, or school board employee. I don't understand what the justification could be for paying such a high salary for one person while laying off staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Botcher. I'm a former Gainesville City Commissioner. It's always been the case that citizens inside and outside the city limits have attended meetings regularly. It didn't matter where they lived. The decisions my colleagues and I made were based on weighing the facts and the needs of all the people. We knew our time as public servants was an honor bestowed on us. With that honor came the responsibility to listen and be responsive to the people. GRU is owned by the citizens of Gainesville, and in 2018, 2024, and 2025, the supermajority of voters declared that an independent, unaccountable governance structure is not wanted. The people have spoken, and the judge confirmed our home rule authority to amend our charter. This right is protected by the Florida Constitution and state statute, yet you are denying us that right. Neither we, the people, nor the city picked this fight. When the people voted to amend our charter, you should simply have just accepted the results of that fair, open, and legal election and resigned. Instead, you filed lawsuits. You are a board that acts as if you serve an opaque private corporation, unaccountable not to the people, but only to one Tallahassee politician who appointed you. Nothing illustrates this more than what transpired at the May 2024 Authority Board meeting, which I attended in person. In a moment, I'm going to play, and I'll play it twice, 15 seconds of audio from that meeting. But first, I'll set it up for you. The item being discussed was the general fund transfer. Staff had just given their presentation with options ranging from reducing the GFT slowly over time, just to lessen the negative impacts on the city's ability to deliver services to the community, or to cut the transfer entirely. As I recall, Member Craig Carter, a former elected official, expressed concern for cutting the GFT too drastically. In contrast, this is what Member David Haslam had to say.
That's me.
Course of 10 years necessarily. I think we, kind of here. I know that for whatever reason we don't want to talk about the GFT every year, but it needs to go down. I mean, that's the honest answer. It needs to go down significantly. And everything else is afraid to say it. I won't, because I'm not going to run for office. I can care less. So there's the honest answer.
Play it again.
Course of 10 years necessarily. I think we, kind of here. I know that for whatever reason we don't want to talk about the GFT every year, but it needs to go down. I mean, that's the honest answer. It needs to go down significantly. And everything else is afraid to say it. I won't, because I'm not going to run for office. I can care less. So there's the honest answer. Course of
He couldn't care less because he's not elected. That's stunning and offensive. And it's also very shameful for somebody who has been appointed to serve the public. And this is why we have voted 3 times for local control. We want the power back in our hands so we can decide who is and who is not making decisions about how GRU is managed. So please do the honorable thing. Withdraw all lawsuits and resign.
Thank you.
My name is Janice Gary. I have used GRU services since 2003. I have attended numerous authority meetings, and it is my position that this authority and the prior authority have been incompetent, have failed to run our utilities professionally, and have neglected the duty to provide any meaningful oversight to the general manager, who seems to wear both the general manager hat and speak as an authority member. I was present when Mr. Bolarski stepped down as an authority member so that he could be hired as general manager. He and this authority have said, we make better business decisions. We eliminate waste. Perhaps then you can explain a few things. The general manager has bragged that GRU staff and spending for capital improvements have been reduced. From October 24 to September 25, there were 231 outages due to equipment failure. Were those failures related to inadequate staffing and/or failure to maintain equipment? In the name of good business, eliminating staff has required that the remaining staff do more jobs. While many staff lost their jobs, Mr. Bolarski stepped into a job that now pays $342,000. How do you explain to staff and the public why an administrator should receive an extraordinarily high salary while hands-on staff should lose their jobs or take on more than one job? The separation from GRU from the city has required duplicate services. Staff for legal matters, clerks, auditors, and most recently, IT, are now required by both the city and GRU. Those services used to be accomplished by the same staff. You say you are eliminating wasteful spending. How does that jive with the need for duplicate staff? A good business requires good leadership. At the dais, there is a Scooter business owner, a person retired from law enforcement, a person retired from healthcare administration, and a person whose term has expired, but he continues to sit at the dais and vote on decisions. Not a single one of you has any experience with running a utility, has the technical expertise required by law. How does that make good business sense? 2 years in a row, voters have chosen to return GRU to local governance. This authority doesn't answer to anybody but the governor. We want people who answer to us. Stop spending our money on legal fees. The $700,000 you have charged the city takes our money from us and gives it to lawyers. Stop your lawsuits against us and resign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight would be sufficient.
The beep didn't go off, our time was up.
Good evening. My name is Jyoti Parmar. I'm a longtime resident of Alachua County, and this is the third time I'm coming out and speaking in public, which is not my preferred way of communication because I need to express my disappointment with all of you. I was here a month ago. By the way, I'm also, my paid job is organizing representative for the Sierra Club of Florida, and I speak for them as well as for myself personally as a neighbor of folks that are affected by your actions, by my mom, a homeowner. And last time I was here, a month ago, asking you all to consider pausing disconnections for the federal workers who were missing their paychecks through no fault of their own. I remember seeing that some of you wanted to have that discussion, but that discussion did not take place at all. There was some interest, but there was no discussion. There was no consideration of this small thing that you could have done to show heart and caring for this community. I serve this community. I love this community. I have been a resident for 20-some years, and I showed up last month, sick as a dog, saying, hey, I know they're not doing everything that we want them to do, or actually they're doing a lot of things we don't want them to do, but they're people, they're our neighbors, surely they care. You've shown again that you don't care. I know you're not qualified, unfortunately. Assuming that is why you've abdicated your responsibility to provide oversight to this utility. You have meetings with Mr. Barlarski offline. You come into these meetings and the public doesn't get to hear your reasoning, any of the actual plans. So everything, there's no transparency at all. So trust is, whatever trust it could have been, does not exist. And you have taken action that gives us reason to worry about what future action you might take, starting with canceling the IRP, a number of different things, and also, of course, the repeated lawsuits against the people of Gainesville, who are the rightful owners of this utility. So if you are not representing the people of Alachua County, and you're not representing or honoring the will of the people of Gainesville, what are you doing here? Please, you are our neighbors. You're gonna have to live with us for a long time. It's time to step down, drop that lawsuit, and decide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jason Bellamy Fultz, and in light of recent news and the back and forth between Ed and our mayor, I thought I might share a letter that I wrote to each of you back in July of 2024. It was subject line, the authority's legal representation. Dear authority members, I hope that you've been enjoying a nice break. It's been quiet, at least publicly, since you handed our utility over to Ed Pilarski. I do have a few questions, considerations, and concerns, however, that I'd like to share with you. At your June 12th meeting, you chose to extend the current contract for legal services from Folds Walker for at least another few months. I might remind you that this was originally meant to be a time-limited, specified source contract, and that General Manager Cunningham warned the authority members at the time that their process was likely in violation of the utility's procurement procedure. Following the establishment of that contract, there was, in GRU's words, an open and fair RFP process for longer-term legal services. That process resulted in a recommendation for a different legal firm than Folds Walker, Gray Robinson, but movement on that recommendation was tabled at your March meeting because some authority members felt uncomfortable that the winner had done business with the city of Gainesville. I remember thinking at the time how that was a pretty asinine and counterproductive decision, and had vain hopes that the new authority might change course. I suppose we should note that according to the Gainesville Sun, Folds Walker has had financial ties to the two state legislators most responsible for establishing the authority. So will the deciding factor be which political connections the authority's lawyers have? Should we assume that services will continue to be acquired by the utility on the basis of which politicians' palms are greased? Since the Folds Walker contract was brought back before the authority again last month, is it safe to assume that you have now exceeded the original not to exceed of $49,000? Can we get a public accounting of ratepayer dollars that have been given to Folds Walker to date? And lastly, your presentation on legal representation stated that you plan to, quote, hire a third party to review significant legal concerns, not all of which are addressed in this presentation. Attorney firms should have experience in Florida constitutional law, home rule, local government, etc. One could only assume that you intend to hire a lobbying legal firm to fight the November referendum and to continue to deny Gainesville residents a vote on the future of the authority. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that point. In fact, please let us ratepayers know exactly what those, quote, significant legal concerns are which were not addressed in your public meeting. According to one of the handful of Folds Walker attorneys who we GRU customers are paying to be at all of your meetings, I do think, quote, I do think that the potential for litigation, particularly with the vote for the referendum, is very high. More to say, but thank you for your
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, I am Ashton Weber, and I am a U.S. student, a citizen of Gainesville, and a city ratepayer. I live in a 5-bedroom flat, the cheapest place I could find that is within bikeable distance from campus, and last month our collective electric bill was $200. However, cost is not my sole concern. I care about the cleanliness of this energy, and I care about my climate. I ask that you listen to what we, the community, want. I ask that you drop the lawsuit against the city and the citizens you have failed to represent, and I ask that you resign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is director comments.
Yeah. I would ask, number one, I'd ask you guys to go back and watch the whole video to where I said that I didn't really care about the GFT, that context does matter. Because from that video, you'll remember that the GFT had been overpaid to the sum of $68 million, right? So the utilities owed that money back from the city. There's some who've downplayed that number to $31 million, I believe, which $31 million is still more and still owed back. So no, I don't think we should be doing the GFT at a larger rate, and I do think the utility deserves to be paid back. You folks deserve to be paid back, because really, it was your money over the course of 20 years. I'm sorry that I do not run my position on a theology. I run it from a business standpoint. I know my theology does not lean up with the Democratic Party. I know that some of you folks have accused me of all kinds of other stuff. It doesn't line up with the MAGA Party neither. It lines up with Jesus. So that's where I place my faith. Yes, yep, you're welcome. But anyhow, so I had a huge statement planned to counter things like that, rude behavior, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to repay evil with evil. I can't reason with the unreasonable. I wish the camera could see some of these folks. I'm working for the betterment of the utility, even though some of you don't agree with the theology on how I'm doing it. I'm not going to sit here. I hate sitting here while the commissioners and the activists smear us, write lies, and actually even profane stories. There's a blog that mentions probably everyone of us except for you, and maybe you at some point, with nasty, profane names. Yeah, you, Folds Walker, my name, swear words. Yeah, one of them, they're involved in the commission too. So, and they use swear words in a blog to describe all of us. So all I have for folks like that and folks like you that are so horribly negative is prayer for your heart. I really do. All right? I plan on doing this job until 2027 when my appointment's up, unless the proper authorities tell me to leave.
Mr. Scott.
There were many comments made that we have addressed in many other meetings, including, I did ask our attorneys, both our GRU attorney and our outside counsel, about my appointment and whether or not I could stay. And I did tell the governor's office I was willing to stay on. I heard no word. So therefore, according to the attorneys, I stay until I'm either removed or another is appointed. So I'm sorry if you feel that I'm here and I am not serving your people, but I can tell you right now, there are people that stop me in Publix, there are people that stop me at Target, in my neighborhood, and say the great things that we're doing. So just because they're here and we have a vocal minority that shows up to our meetings typically, does not mean that there aren't others that outnumber you that are the vocal or non-vocal majority. So with that said, I do appreciate your comments. I appreciate you showing up. We're doing the best possible thing. And I wish we could televise our meetings, but that's additional costs that we have with Ed. And that opens additional cans of worms for everybody here. So also wish, the Sunshine Law is a great thing, but you hear the discussion that we have. Sometimes we bring up items, others don't feel the same need as one of us, so we may not have much discussion on that. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I too want to say thank you for expressing all of your comments. Obviously, we have a difference of opinion and a difference in the view of how GRU should be run. Prior to our state legislators and the governor voting on House Bill 1645, GRU had run up debts of $1.8 billion, 4 times higher than any other average utility our size. GRU had the second highest rates in the state of Florida. And as a result of that, the Joint Legislative Audit Committee had warned the city for multiple years that they needed to get their finances in order. Eventually, that never happened, and as a result, our state legislators, who were elected by the people, passed a law, which was signed by the governor, that enacted this authority. This authority came under fire from the city. As a result of that, we felt the obligation that we had to defend the legislation. And as a result of that, we incurred expenses that were significant to defend this legislation. We are responsible for overseeing GRU. Prior to the authority, I mentioned our 4 times high debt. I mentioned our highest charges. And as in the last 2 years, since the authority has been in place, we have accelerated our debt repayment by over $100 million. We have stabilized our rates in the last 2 years. Our rates have not increased. We have signed long-term gas contracts that will save the citizens and the customers over $50 million. Prior to the implementation of the authority, our high debt load resulted in multiple bond downgrades. Those bond downgrades result in higher interest payments. The higher interest payments over a decade total more than $60 million. So prior to the authority, high rates, high debt, lower bond ratings, as a result, higher interest payments, all that flows through to our customers. In the last 2 years, stabilize rates, accelerate our debt payment, and our goal is to reduce or to improve our bond ratings, which will also improve our cost to our customers, as well as signing long-term gas agreements. We talk about the IRP. Well, the IRP is definitely a long-term plan, but previous decisions that drove up our debt handcuffed our ability and some of the investments that we would like to make or potentially make. As a result of that, we have to do what we can with the assets that we have. We have an incredible leadership at GRU that has maintained these assets to an extremely high level for many, many years. And I am confident that they will continue to do that. And as a result of that, we will continue to defend House Bill 1645, and we will continue to support the leadership of GRU. You think we've advocated? I disagree with you. Ultimately, the courts are going to decide who's going to run GRU. I would ask that all of our local officials and both sides, that we tone down the rhetoric. There's a lot out there. We're going to let the courts decide how this gets done. We obviously have different views on this, but I want to let you know, everyone up here absolutely cares about this community. We care about our customers, and we care about GRU. We're doing this at no cost. We don't get paid for this. And as a result of that, we're doing everything we can and what we believe is right. So again, thank you for expressing your opinions. I appreciate you getting up and talking and explaining things. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Eric.
Next, we have CEO comments.
I think I have nothing left to say. But I would, one thing is, the board is constituted like a typical independent board for a municipal utility. You have people from various degrees of expertise that come in. You see that at co-ops, you see that at other community utilities. I think you're showing anything other than you're very qualified, and I appreciate the assistance and how we've been able to work together. So thank you.
One follow-up comment, Ed, there's a lot of disparaging comments about your compensation. You should understand, we shouldn't compare a CEO of a utility's compensation to another city employee. It's like comparing the head coach to a professor. His compensation is based on a market assessment of what an appropriate CEO would be paid. Had we cut his salary to significantly reduce, we would not have a CEO. So it's important to understand our goal as an authority is to properly pay all the employees of GRU, starting from the lowest to the highest. We want to pay the right amount. As a result of that, we worked with Ed to establish an independent human resources department so we could appropriately support the employees of GRU. And so we have actually made efforts to better support our employees and better pay our employees rather than overpay Mr. Bilarski. His salary is appropriate at this point in time and is a median market average for his CEO.
Next, we have attorney comments.
Good evening, board members. I'm very excited to be back with you tonight. I missed you last month. I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with our litigation. Obviously, there's lots of balls up in the air, and so we like to keep you all apprised of what's going on. So I'll start with our appeal, what we're calling GRUA 1. That's the one that's in front of the first DCA. So just a reminder, I'm sure that it was mentioned last time, but we received on November 6th an order granting an emergency constitutional writ, which stayed any further action by the city as a result of the November 4th election. So just a summary of that document is it's basically like an injunction. Everything just stays the same until the first DCA rules otherwise. On the 25th of November, the city filed their answer brief and their initial brief on the cross appeal. So keep in mind, not only have we filed an appeal, but the city has also filed an appeal with the first DCA. And so they have initial briefs due on each appeal as well as answer reply briefs, etc. So that was filed on the 25th. Our deadline for a cross answer and reply brief is 15th. And then 20 days thereafter, the city will have to file a cross reply brief. So all very complicated, but essentially that's the end of everybody sort of going back and forth with their legal arguments, responding to each other, and then it'll be submitted for the court's consideration based on all of those documents. So then we have what we're referring to as GRUA 3, which is our most recent lawsuit regarding the 2025 ordinance that was passed by the city. GRUA filed our responses to the city's affirmative defenses. Essentially, what that means is not just an answer to, when they filed an answer to our complaint, they also said, and also we think these affirmative things. So we filed our reply to those affirmative defenses. Both parties have filed proposed orders with the judge regarding the October 29th injunction hearing. They differ, obviously, and the court is considering those now, and we're waiting for an order on that. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Of course.
Nothing from me unless you have any questions, or if it would please the authority otherwise.
It's a really good holiday tie.
Thank you. My stepdaughter told me the same.
You've actually briefed before publicly that Chip is perfectly fine to be here. I mean, you gave us I don't remember the law.
Yes.
You briefed that before, the chip's allowed to be here, right? Correct?
Correct, absolutely. It's called a holdover.
Yeah.
It's well-established in Florida law. It's even, the city commission even has the same process in the charter.
The only reason I'm asking that is because we get accused of like not addressing things, but sometimes these things are addressed that night, next month, whenever, and this, I think we address these things
Yeah.
as we go,
Oh,
usually,
I asked
you know what I mean?
what my term was
Yeah,
at the
so
prior meeting.
it's already been addressed, and there's other things, other questions asked, everybody's leaving, so it doesn't matter, but it's been addressed before, so I won't bring the other stuff up, I think Jim left too, but it's all right, so.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is business discussion items. The first one we have is 2025-980 review. The recommendation is the authority hear a presentation from the CEO and ask any questions if desired.
A little short this month, but I can tell you that we can't operate it again. Oh, it's need to be on?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently I'm incompetent, as they say. Is this the button here?
Mr. Perry, I think you normally help him with that.
Thank you.
I gotta learn to keep my cool like you.
So our vacancy rate has leveled out here. And as we said before, part of the reason that's as high as it is the uncertainty that's in the marketplace. I wanted to announce that we had 6 linemen, apprentices, that are in journeyman status. I mean, I think it's really kind of amazing. There's 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, 185 competency training modules. These folks really go through the ringer, and they come out really skilled, competent people. Our training program for line folks are kind of a jewel within Florida. So when I hear some of the things that are said, it hurts, because one of the guys back there, Chad Parker, who's in charge of energy delivery, is at the top of the game. And we do things that no other utilities are doing. We won the Reliability Award along with 2 other utilities among municipal utilities in Florida for having 3 years of the highest reliabilities. So the things that are being said just simply aren't true. Success factors, it's our movement over to our new people resources structure. We wanted to go live December 31st. It looks like it's going to be pushed off to mid-March. We don't want to do, and we've done this in the past, I have to be honest. You set up a program, you want to go live, and you want to convert over, and sometimes you get infatuated with that deadline. There's no point to do it. We want to get it right. We'll do it mid-March. The other thing that's happened is, now that we have some certainty moving forward, we re-engaged with the collective bargaining agreement process with the CWA. We have, I think, 5 or 6 TAs. We're going through the process methodically. I think there's a good understanding, and I think it's wonderful for the utilities, employees, the hourly employees, to be represented by their own union rather than share that union among the city, the general government. So we can tailor what is a good program, what's a good collective bargaining agreement for our own workers. The community. I love that each month we have 6, 7, 8 different things where I can highlight what's happened in the community. UF students studying contaminant remediation toward our Murphy plant. That's a big day. You have future leaders coming out of UF and using GRU as that incubator, using it as a test area. And there's this interplay between the youth in the community and some of the older folks, and there's a sharing of ideas. Our customer service and new business services, I think it is, participated in the Gainesville High School Career Fair, talked about the jobs here. We participated in the Meadowbrook Elementary School STEAM Night on November 18th. That's, science, technology, the different classes. We visited the Rock with the first grade students to deliver a down line program. We brought our big truck, and everyone loves that. All the kids love the big trucks. Water wastewater completed 500 days without a non-preventable vehicle accident, 1.5 million miles. Think about that. 1.5 million miles, our safety program for our employees and what we teach them and how diligent they are. 1.5 million miles. It's just kind of amazing to me. The other items, we kicked off our budget on Monday. You just thought that you were finished with the budget work. Well, you're not. Fiscal year 27, on Monday, we start work on it. We're going to have some modules presented to you in January and February. Budget, finance, and accounting's work is never done. This is a learning process, and we just get better and better and better at it. I want to just alert you to the fact that we are contemplating some future borrowings. It was part of the debt defeasance plan. We're driving down debt, but there come times when you have a little blip that goes up. So we're going, in the bottom item there is a meeting scheduled with the city manager. I've reached out to Andrew Persons. We're going to meet and talk about some things, and that's going to be one of the things because, we're working together while all this is going on. There's a collegial attitude among the groups, even if that may not be presented to the public. Legal work is ongoing. The stormwater solid waste MOU is being negotiated. I think we're going to hammer that out pretty quickly here. And with that, that's what's new.
Any questions for Ed?
No, I'll try.
Other than this.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Next, we have resolutions. A roll call is required. We have two resolutions under the one item. The first one is, the one item is 2025-981 SRF loan and grant resolutions, PFAS treatment evaluation, and lead and copper rule decision compliance. The first resolution is number 2025-9818, a resolution of the Gainesville Regional Utilities Authority, a unit of City of Government of the City of Gainesville, Florida, relating to the State Evolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing the loan application, authorizing the loan agreement, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, and providing for conflict severability and effective date. The next one we have also is resolution number 2025-981B, a resolution of the Gainesville Regional Utilities Authority, a unit of city government of the City of Gainesville, Florida, relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing the loan application, authorizing the loan agreement, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflict severability and effective date.
Good evening, directors and chair. My name is Debbie Doherty. I'm the Water Wastewater Officer, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview of these two resolutions you have in front of you. Both of these programs are new EPA regulations that have come down the last few years. There is some funding that's been made available to us for different reasons. On the PFAS side, that particular one, PFAS is the forever man-made chemical that you hear about in the media, nonstick pans, it's in clothing, dry fit clothing, things like that. We do not have it in our water system at GRU. We are very lucky, but we do have it in our wastewater system because we get our wastewater from people that interact with all of those things I just listed. And so we have been doing some studies on our wastewater side to see how much PFAS we have in our system, and then what that will mean down the road for us for future treatment. That work is funded by the SRF program. We have funding available. That is what this resolution is doing, to give us the authority to sign the agreement, or the ability to sign the agreement. On the other side, the LCRR is the lead and copper rule, also from the EPA, a new regulation. And we've done an inventory of our system, and this funding will pay 50% of the work that we've done on that area. So that's kind of what these two agreements are. Once we have the resolutions passed, we can sign the agreements with the state. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
With the PFAS chemicals, for those that have reclaimed water, we are doing something for that now, correct? Or no, not currently?
There's no regulations yet on the wastewater side. There are regulations for water, but the water regulations don't take effect. Well, so right now it says 2029, but it's currently being rewritten by EPA, we think, to 2031 before the regulations will be in place on the water side. What we anticipate is once that is in place for water, there likely will be reclaimed water regulations. And that's what we're looking at, is what our concentrations are and what that treatment would be for us at the wastewater plants. It would be on the Kannapolis side, is where we would have to put treatment in place. And this funding that we're getting right now is for the planning phases of this work. If we move into design and construction of a PFAS treatment system, this same funding, we could ask for additional monies to help pay for those facilities. So it's a great program to be a part of from the beginning.
Thank you.
Are we on track with other utilities, other water treatment systems?
Yeah, actually, we're very blessed to not have PFAS in our water. I just was at the AWWA conference in Orlando last week and heard many other utilities who have it in their water system, and they are currently putting in treatment systems on their water systems. People are drinking this water today, and we don't have the treatment for it yet. So it's required by, like I said, either 2029 or 2031, depending on what the EPA, when they finally regulate the law. So we are in a great position in Gainesville. We're just trying to stay ahead of the wastewater side.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Daugherty.
Debbie, would you also mention, I think it's important to mention to the board too, the 20 million that came out?
Yeah.
If you want to give them a little
Sure.
information on that.
So the SRF program, there's a lot of initiatives for funding for SRF money. There was an appropriation last year. We call it the SAM appropriation, but it's a special appropriation for Helene and Milton, is where the initials came from. We made the listing about 2 weeks ago. We found out that we made the listing for about $19 million of projects from SRF to fund, and it's 100%. It says it's a loan agreement, but when it's 100% forgivable, sure feels a lot like a grant. So, so we gave them a list of projects that were, I will say, they're resiliency, redundancy projects for us to help us with storm hardness, and it's part of that special appropriation. So, so we are just in the beginning phases that we made the listing, and we'll go through the steps with that program. Likely, you'll see us here in June. I think we have to sign the agreement for that 19 million. Well, it won't be 19 million at that point. It'll be the planning phase. So Derek will help us navigate that agreement when we get there.
And so we spend it and then are reimbursed, is that how it works?
Correct.
So are we gonna pull that out of our cash reserves? Is that how we expect to fund that part of the project?
Well, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the total amount is in our CapEx. We haven't accounted for that.
We haven't accounted for the money back. Many of these projects that we put forward, we already are planning to do, and the money will come back. So, and typically when you do, what I've heard, we haven't done, this is our first SRF. They say they pay within about 30 days. On our other grants, we're getting paid within about 60 days of putting our receipts and our proof of payment in. So.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, both of you, but having Derek on board to work with us in the SRF process, he was able to make some adjustments to the language so that it was acceptable to bond counsel and our other players. So this was something that we hadn't been able to do before. So to answer your question more fully, we have the majority of that money sprinkled into our capital plan moving forward. I don't know how much of that 20 million is, but that will counterbalance that, so we might have a flip-flop from year to year, but I think it will go to reduce our capital expenditures moving forward from a net basis.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, but before she leaves, how do you, what are the two elements with PFAS? Never mind.
Do we need to make a motion to approve these separately, or is this one? How does it?
It's a roll call vote.
Roll call vote? Oh, okay.
So would you like me to do them separately? Because there's two resolutions. No. All right, for both
That's my
resolutions,
question.
2025-981A and 2025-981B, Chair Lawson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Chair Haslam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Skinner, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Director Jacobs is absent. That is approved. Next item we have is director comments.
Ed, just to follow up, the Knox socks that you refer to sometimes, I think we had discussed why those were elevated, but I don't recall. Could you refresh my memory on that?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think that this last month's State of the Utility was anything outside the range. We will have that when we're burning, more of the biomass plant. But we're not outside any limitations under our permits.
Okay. And trying to think if I had anything else. Just wish everybody, we do sincerely, those that do attend, we take notes, we do try to address different items. Sometimes it takes longer for us to address them than the public would like. We do the best that we can, but as Director Haslam said, we come in here with open hearts. We care about the community, we care about our neighbors, and during this holiday season, we wish nothing but the best for all of those, even those that are in disagreement with us. So it's time for everybody to reflect on the year and past, the positive things that have accrued, and the things that we can improve on for next year. And that's what I'm going to be doing with my family, so I hope you all do it with yours. And to all the employees of GRU, thank you for a phenomenal year. Look forward to seeing more growth, more potential out there in the coming years. And Ed, Derek, Folds Walker, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well, and we'll see you after the term.
Thank you.
I kind of made the whole comment I wanted to make earlier. I'm going to have to learn to keep 100% composure like you do, Chair Lawson. I appreciate you, because I know you're hearing the same things and seeing the same things I'm seeing. You stay cool as a cucumber, so I appreciate that. I hope I don't offend anyone when I get a little amped up and a little boisterous about this. That's why I write stuff down, and I had a little thing prepared, and I had to go a little off script a little bit, because I'll be honest, I'm just, as a human, I do get offended by some of the things that just aren't true, and I get offended by some of the things that are nasty. A disagreement's one thing. I don't mind disagreeing with people. We can do that. We can talk. We can have opinions, even opinions on laws and rules and everything. But condescension, rude behavior, it gets rough. You know what I mean? We get emails that are condescending and rude that obviously we don't share with you folks. So this is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. So it's hard for me to keep my composure, especially then I get rattled in my head. Commissioner such and such wife has a blog about us. It's profane, and I'm glad you can keep your composure. You probably don't get on the internet as much as I do.
Probably get them nuts on social media.
Yeah. So, but that's that. So for everybody, the 10 people still in the room, we're doing our best, and thank you.
And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek, check this out, dude.